Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to our Geek's Guide to Performance Analytics. For those of you that don't know, this is a new series that we're starting where we're going to do once a month, 30-minute sessions covering one specific topic so that over lunch, over dinner, when you have that free time, you can learn all about one specific topic within our portfolio. I'm very excited to be doing the first one. My name is Anna Ruiz. I am a technical marketing architect. And today we're going to talk about performance analytics. So before we dive deep into performance analytics, why don't we talk a little bit about just analytics overall, what Citrix Analytics is, what that has to offer, etc. So Citrix Analytics, we cover different solution areas. So not just performance, which of course is going to be the focus of today's Geek's Guide. But we also have analytics around security, around productivity that I really encourage you, if you haven't looked into, to look into those amazing products as well. Analytics spans different types, so we cover applications, users, network, and we really focus on artificial intelligence and machine learning in order to give you insights that are useful and that you're able to do stuff with. And finally, last but not least, we want to provide value to the entire Citrix portfolio. And so our entire analytics platform does cover the different Citrix portfolios. So a little bit about our strategy. Like I mentioned earlier, we really focus on having our analytics be driven through artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the reason for this is we don't want to be another provider that just gives you a ton of data that you really don't have any time or, to analyze and to do things with. So we want to be able to provide insight with that data so that you can react to that data, make sure that your environment is more secure, that your users have a better experience, that they're more productive, etc. We also want to add value across the entire Citrix ecosystem. So as we continue to grow and expand our analytics portfolio, you'll see that we're going to start adding value to all different parts of the Citrix ecosystem. So everything from networking, file sharing, mobility, virtual apps and desktops, and everything else. And then last but not least, Citrix Analytics is a platform that is delivered via Citrix Cloud, meaning that control plane where analytics is hosted, where we analyze that data, is hosted within Citrix Cloud. However, the good news is we do support communicating back with on-prem Citrix deployments as well as hybrid deployments. So even if you're a full on-prem customer, you could take advantage of Citrix Analytics and all that it has to offer. So why performance analytics, right? Why is it so important that we talk about performance analytics? We first announced this at Citrix Energy, and now we're getting close to the launch date, which I'm very excited about. And the main reason why, we started working on performance analytics was we realized that our customers have a lot of different tools out there in order to get information of their Citrix environment, which requires them to log into multiple consoles, to be able to cross-reference that data in order to do anything with it. And so we wanted to provide you end-to-end visibility beyond the tools that we already provide for you and give you insights. So we understand that there's a lot of data out there, but we also understand that everyone's time is limited. And so we want that data to be valuable. We want to be able to provide you as much insights as possible within that data in order to make it useful for you and your environment. So what is performance analytics? With performance analytics, essentially what we're doing is we're providing user-centric experience score, application and infrastructure performance scores, and we're doing this through advanced analytics. So what does that mean? We're essentially quantifying the user and app performance experience so that you can proactively go into your environment and see if there's a certain user group or a certain site that is having any issues, and that you can proactively work on making that better before your users are calling in and saying that Citrix is broken or that Citrix is slow. The other really cool and important thing with performance analytics is that we're providing multi-site aggregation and reporting. So before I was a tech marketing architect, I was a sales engineer, so I work closely with a lot of large customers here in Texas. And one of the things that they always asked was the ability to see some of this data across all their sites, right? So these were customers that had multiple sites, and they, it was really cumbersome to be logging into maybe different director consoles. And so with performance analytics, we're also going to be solving that issue at hand. And then finally, we're also going to be looking at infrastructure performance scores. So to make sure that your infrastructure that you have today is being used optimally. And if not, so that you can fix that or make tweaks to your environment in order to optimize the use of your infrastructure. So high level from an architectural perspective, we support customers that are fully on Workspace, right? So essentially the user would log into Workspace, log into the Virtual Apps and Desktop service, which would be sending that data to our analytics platform. But we understand that not all of our customers are on Workspace. And so we also support the use of performance analytics for full on-prem Virtual Apps and Desktop customers. So if you're still utilizing, a gateway on-premise, storefront, etc., we fully support sending that data from the director database into our analytics platform for processing and analyzing for you to consume. Citrix Analytics, the platform itself, will be hosted within Citrix Cloud Services. This allows us to have more agility as we continue to add features to our analytics platform, but your Virtual Apps and Desktop environment can certainly remain on-premise if that's the direction that your enterprise is going in. And then finally, I also had a lot of customers who were in the process of migrating or maybe had a hybrid environment for different use cases. And so we also fully support that, that architecture. If you have both, you can consume Citrix Analytics for both of your sites. So Citrix Analytics, we're giving you that comprehensive data, and then we're also providing, which I think is very important and not to be overlooked, that multi-site aggregation for multiple on-premises sites, or whether you have, some Virtual Apps and Desktop service and still some on-prem sites. So how do we go ahead and get started? The really good news is that for on-prem customers, no new components, need to be added. So no new installs, nothing like that. All you have to do is upgrade your delivery controller and your director to 1909, which it will be our next release, and will be out before Citrix Performance Analytics goes live. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, we do not require you to be fully on Citrix Workspace. If you're still fully on-prem, we do support that architecture as well. And it's very easy to onboard. I'm actually going to go through that process in the demo. For cloud customers, of course, it's even easier, right? All you really need is a Citrix Analytics account and to have entitlements to performance analytics. But beyond that, it doesn't really require any additional setup steps. So let's dive a little bit deeper before I go into the demo. I definitely don't want to bore you with PowerPoint slides, but I think it's important that we level set what we're going to be covering. The user experience score not only allows you to see which users have an excellent Citrix experience versus a poor Citrix experience, but it also allows you to dive deeper into the factors that are causing users to maybe not have the best experience that they could within their Citrix environment. And so if we look at this next slide, and again, I'm going to show all of this in the demo, we'll be able to further classify categories by which end users are having a poor experience and why they may be having that poor experience. So essentially how the end user experience work is it takes different, on the left-hand side, it has like latency, logon duration, failures, and reconnections. And it takes all of that data and information to provide you with a user experience score. Again, we have 3 buckets, poor, fair, and excellent. And the idea is to have most of your users within that excellent score and to be reducing the number of users that have that poor experience. So we want to give you that visibility in order for you to be able to do that. Another really cool feature which I'll be showing is the search functionality. So if you want to search for specific users, maybe users that have a poor user experience score, but also have GPOs that are taking a very long time to load, you'll be able to search that, and then you could, further go and analyze whether that's a specific site, maybe a specific user group that are experiencing certain problems. So the search functionality is great as well. Finally, we have different metrics as well that we provide you. Again, as you can see based on this screenshot, and you'll see in the demo, this provides multi-site aggregation for things like round trip time, like user sessions, so things in order to give you full visibility into your entire environment. And then last but not least, we also provide infrastructure visibility, so to make sure that your infrastructure is definitely being used optimally. And so again, this is something that we're going to show in the demo. So now that we went quick through some baseline PowerPoint slides, why don't we get into the demo just so I show you how to set it up for if you're an on-prem customer, as well as some of the data that you're able to see with performance analytics. So let's switch it over to the demo, pray to the demo gods that everything works as needed, and we'll go from there. So the first thing that you'll do is you'll log into your Director console. So again, if you remember in the architecture, we're sending that data from Director's database into our analytics platform. So this is where you're going to be able to set it up. Like I mentioned, Director and your delivery controller need to be on 1909 in order to be able to start utilizing performance analytics. So you'll see a tab right here that says Analytics. I'll click on that. Hopefully this hasn't logged me out yet. I logged in a couple of minutes before we started the webinar. And you'll be able to see just a little bit of history about performance analytics in case you don't really know what it is. And I'll be able to agree to the terms and conditions and go ahead and get started. So now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and connect that site. So connect it from my on-premise Director to my cloud Citrix Analytics account. So I'll go ahead and hit Connect Site. It'll give me a code that I'm going to have to input into the Citrix Cloud account. So you could read here that it actually has the instructions of how to do it. So I'll go ahead and say I want to copy the code. Once that code has been copied, I'll go into my Citrix Cloud account. Again, I have logged in already. And what I need to do is I need to go here under License and Usage. And I'll see here a tab that says Registrations. So once I click that, you'll see that so far I have no registrations, which is what we're going to do now in order to register performance analytics. So I'll go ahead and click Register. I'll then go ahead and paste that code and hit Continue. And we'll see that it verifies that. I want to make sure that this is performance analytics, and I'll go ahead and hit Register. And as simple as that, with just those simple clicks, my product has been registered, and now I am able to use it starting right now. So if we go back here, we'll see it connecting. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go and see the data, right? So because I just registered this account, obviously like there's no users that have been actively logging into the account in the past 2 minutes. So what I'm going to go is I'm going to go into a demo environment that already has that information for us so that we could quickly and easily just see the power of performance analytics. So here you'll see that this is a demo environment. If you're familiar with our other analytics platforms, you'll notice that here I'm logged into security analytics, and now there's a tab that says performance analytics where I'm able to go and consume that data. So I'll click on performance analytics and you'll see that this is starting to load, which are my user experience score as well as other things. The first thing that I want you to notice is that I'm able to see this for all my sites or for a specific site, and then I'm also able to change the time period of what I'm seeing. So let's see in the past month what has been happening in my environment. So I can see here that, I have more users that are logging in potentially. And then I also see the factors that are affecting my user experience score, which we'll dive deeper in a second. Before that, let's see what else we can see. We can see the user sessions. Again, this could be for all your sites or for a specific site and for different time periods if needed. And I can see things like round trip time, logon duration. So really giving you the visibility into your environment that you need. So let's click on what I'm interested most, which is my poor users, right? I want to see how I can make those poor users go into the excellent user score. So once I click poor, you'll be able to dive even deeper to see the factors that are affecting that user experience score. So we see mostly here that logon duration is really what's impacting a lot of my users, right? We see some I see around trip time, a couple of failures and a couple of reconnection rate, but really the logon duration is what's really bogging down my users. Within the logon duration, I can even see more sub-factors, right? So I can see things like, is it the GPOs? Is it the profile load? Is it the brokering? What exactly is happening within my environment for these specific users to have a poor experience? And by giving you this information, you can now proactively go and fix, maybe some policies or what's happening within your environment in order to have those users move from poor user experience to fair or to excellent. And again, we have these sub-factors for all the different factors. So the IC around trip time, for the session failure, as well as the reconnection rate, you'll be able to see those sub-factors within that. The other really cool thing that I showed briefly on the PowerPoint, but I want to show live in the demo, is the search functionality. So if I click on search, I can see that I have different searches that I can do. So the top three are related to security analytic, and then here at the bottom we have the performance analytic searches. So for example, I can go and say I want to search users that have, and here they give you options, but you could of course type other things, but I want to search users that have GPO that is greater, let's say, to 50 seconds, and then I can add additional factors within that search, right? And I also want to see users that at the same time have brokering that is greater to maybe 8 seconds. I can change the time period, right? So I don't want it within an hour. I actually want this for the full week. And then I can go ahead and hit search, and I'll go ahead and search and narrow down to those specific users. Within here, I can go even deeper. So for example, I can see here Lyndon Brooks. He has a user experience score of 62, so not great. And I can see what site he's coming from. I can see the total attempts. I can see the GPOs or the profile loads, etc. So I really get that detail within those specific users that can potentially give me more insight into what I can do to improve that user experience score for those specific users. So a really, really powerful tool. And then the last thing that we want to show is the infrastructure. So user experience score is great. I think it's a very powerful tool, and we're going to continue to add factors and add just a lot more functionality around that. But let's look at what we could see from an infrastructure standpoint, right? So from an infrastructure standpoint, again, I think it's very important that you're familiar with the health of your infrastructure, and based on that, be able to make determinations or changes to your environment to improve how you're using your infrastructure, and then potentially improve how your end users are interacting with your environment. So here you could see it's broken out by, multi-session OS, so like a Server 2016, or a single session OS, so like a Windows 10. We can see the load of the VDAs, right? So do you have a lot of VDAs that have very high load, and maybe that's impacting the end user experience? Or do you have a lot of VDAs that actually aren't really being used at the time? You can see VDAs that are unusable, whether those VDAs have some sort of failure or have been unregistered. You could see that and get that visibility. You can see how many VDAs are available, how many VDAs are under maintenance, as well as your VDAs by delivery group, to just get that cohesive view on your environment. And again, we are doing multi-site aggregation for this, so you can see this for all your sites, or if you have a specific site that you want to focus on while you're going into performance analytics, we have that as well. So a very powerful tool. I know it was a quick demo, but I hope in this demo I was able to capture not only how easy it was to onboard, right? Especially for the on-prem customers. I know a lot of times my customers who are still on-premise would be like, well, what about us? Or we need all these new additional components in order to utilize some of the new products. And I think performance analytics is just a product that once we go GA, you can really take advantage of, whether you're cloud or on-prem. It's a great tool set to have. So hopefully we're able to capture all of that. You're intrigued. You're ready for Performance Analytics to go live. I know I am very excited for this to go GA very, very soon. And I look forward just to my customers and to, all the customers start to take advantage of this tool set. Just as an FYI, if you have enjoyed this Geeks Guide today, I know it was a short and sweet session. Hopefully you had a blast with me today. We are hosting a masterclass, so if you're familiar with our workspace masterclasses, those are definitely longer than the Geeks Guide sessions that we're hosting. Our next one is one that you don't want to miss. It'll happen on September 11th, and we're talking everything that has to do with identity. So make sure to check it out. You can register on citrix.com/events. If for whatever reason you can't make it live, we'll record that, and then you could go back and look at the recording. And then also be sure on our citrix.com/events page to check out our upcoming Geeks Guide as we come out with them. These are just some of the topics that we'll be covering in the next Geeks Guide. So everything from integrating SaaS and web apps into storefront, Teams optimizations, intelligent GSLB, multi-stream HCX. So a lot of really good topics coming in the following Geeks Guide. So be sure to be on the lookout, citrix.com/events, to register for those. And also be sure to check out Tech Zone, where we have a lot of great reference architectures, tech papers, technical deep dives, as well as demos and videos for some of the specific topics within Citrix. So be sure to check out Tech Zone if you haven't already. We're constantly adding new content and material, so be sure to check that out. And I will now open it up for any questions that you may have regarding performance analytics, and I definitely appreciate everyone being here and spending your lunchtime with me. Thank you so much. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and start the Q&A. We have a couple of questions that have come in throughout the webinar, but feel free to continue to ask questions as we still have a couple of minutes left together. I'm seeing a lot of questions regarding what version, whether we're going to support LTSR. So the next LTSR will be supported. We're not going to go anywhere that's backward compatible, but the next LTSR that we release will be compatible with performance analytics, or you could be going to current release 1909 on. So as long as you're on 1909 on or on the next LTSR, you will be able to utilize performance analytics. I'm also getting a couple of questions about entitlements and how this will be licensed if you're a current Citrix customer. So I encourage you to talk to your account team, right? But this will be an add-on SKU. I don't have the pricing in front of me, right? That's still things that we're finalizing, but make sure to talk to your account team in order to make sure that you get the appropriate licensing questions. I'm getting a couple of questions as well as if we're going to be integrating with other tools like Splunk. So for our security analytics platform, we already do. For performance analytics, when we go GA, that's not something that will be a part of the GA release. However, it is something that we're looking at potentially for future releases where you can integrate to something like Splunk or otherwise. Let's see what other questions we have. We've had another question just to clarify for on-prem customers what needs to be installed, right? So as shown in the demo and as mentioned, if you're an on-prem customer, you don't need any additional components. So you don't need any cloud connectors, you don't need anything else. All you need to do is make that connection that we showed in the demo, and that's it, right? So if you have a hybrid environment and have cloud connectors, that's great, but the cloud connectors are actually not being used to send that information to performance analytics. So if you're fully on-prem, if you're utilizing storefront, you don't need to install anything else. Let's see what else is being asked. There's a lot of repeat questions about the LTSR, which we answered. Another question, the expected release for performance analytics, right? That's something, again, that we're still finalizing the final release date, so I can't, say that right now, but we're targeting probably towards the end of this year or beginning of 2020. So again, make sure to reach out to your local account team as we get closer to those dates. We'll have a more finalized date of when we're going to be releasing that. I have a question of whether this will work with Sun Mobile on-premise. So the initial release for performance analytics will be strictly for virtual apps and desktops, both the service as well as the on-prem version, right? In the future, we may add integrations with other Citrix products, just like we have with security analytics. But for now, we're starting with specifically virtual app and desktop. Again, a lot of questions about licensing. Talk to your account team. This will be an add-on SKU for our customers, so make sure to talk to your account team if you're interested in looking at utilizing performance analytics, because it is a great tool and we encourage all our customers to use it. We're going to be coming out with a lot of new features and functionality, and our plan is just to continue to grow the platform after we go GA. And I think those were all the questions. I'm going to wait a couple minutes to see if any more come in. Okay, we're getting some questions about how this is different from Director, what that means for Director. The way that I like to see it is Director is great. It's a great tool, and we encourage you, if you wish to continue to use it, to do that. Some of the biggest differences in my eyes are, number one, that multi-site aggregation, which today in Director we don't have, as well as I see this more of a proactive tool. So with performance analytics, you're allowed to proactively go and fix your environment and make sure that your environment is optimal and running to its best of the ability. Director, I see more of a reactive tool. So when a user calls and says, hey, my Citrix is broken, you can go in and dive into Director and figure out what's wrong. So I think performance analytics will just give you a tool to proactively make sure that your Citrix environment is optimally being run. And I believe that's all the questions that we had today. Again, I really appreciate all of you joining us and being here with us today. And we hope to see you on other Geek Guide sessions as well as some of our other master classes. So thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time, and hopefully you all will start utilizing performance analytics as soon as we go live with it.